garbage out.
Okay, Mother.
April.
Now what?
Don't forget to put out the garbage.
It's not my turn.
Mother said to put out the garbage.
Okay. Oh, Archie, don't forget the garbage. It's not my turn. Mother says you're to put out the garbage. Don't argue. Put out the garbage, dry the dishes, to do it. Oh, temper, temper. Feel above it all.
No, you cannot have the car. You'll take the bus and like it.
Look, Flora, you used the car yesterday and the day before.
Yes, and I'll use it today and tomorrow and the day after. Well, don't stand there glowering. You'll miss the bus.
Hi, Mr. Sanford.
Hi, Archie.
This is Sanford on the warpath again.
Be glad you're still a bachelor, kid.
Mr. Sanford, you're forgetting something.
Yes?
You owe me 4 bits for mowing your lawn.
Oh, by gosh, that's right, Archie. Got change for a 5-spot?
Are you kidding?
It's the smallest I've got. I'll pay you when I get the change, okay?
Sure, Mr. Sanford. Your credit's good.
So long.
Hello.
Polly, what on earth are you doing here? I told you to stay away from this neighborhood.
It's all right. Nobody saw. Hop in. I'll drive you to the bus.
Good morning, Archie.
Hello. I suppose you want to see Dinah.
Yes, if it wouldn't be troubling you too much, I would like to see her.
It's okay with me. I suppose you want to gab about clothes.
Dinah!
Shut up. Don't you know by this time that we're not to disturb Mother when she's working? I'll tell her. Hey, Dinah. Pain in the Neck is here to see you.
Archie Carstairs, I'll thank you to kindly not be so disrespectful about my dearest friend. Here, April. Joella, my dear, have you been waiting long? I got your phone call and I came as soon as I could. I'm terribly sorry I kept you waiting, but Hello, Joella. Hello.
Say, Dinah, what about...
Run along, children. I want to talk to Joella.
It's a very funny thing, Dinah. Whenever Joella's around, I stop being your sister and I become children. People who try to act grown up give me a slight feeling of nausea.
What's up? What's on your mind? It's about Mother. I want your advice about something. I'm terribly worried. We can hardly get her to eat a thing. You see, that's the way it is all the time. Poor Mother just knocks herself out with her work and doesn't have any personal life of her own.
She doesn't?
I knew you'd understand. You see, I can't discuss these things with the children. They're much too young. You see, what I'm afraid of is that she'll get emotionally frustrated and all she's got is us, and, I'm practically growing up, and pretty soon we'll all be married, and she'll be left alone, and then what?
She'll be a massive inhibition.
Exactly. Unless I do something about it.
I think it's wonderful the way you worry about your mother.
Gosh, a person has to. Don't you worry about yours?
I gave that up years ago. I just let my parents stew in their own juice. Of course, it is different in your case. On account of your mother's a widow.
Believe me, it's a problem. One doesn't know what's best for them. Come on.
Hey, where are we going?
I want your opinion of a certain party.
Who? What? Tell me.
Shh. He lives here on the corner next to the Sanfords. That's him clipping the hedge. Now, I'll introduce you, and I want you to observe him closely. Hi, Mr. Charrington.
Well, Dinah, how's your nice mother?
Oh, she's fine, thanks. I don't believe you met Miss Joella Holbrook. She's my dearest friend. May I present Mr. Charrington?
Miss Holbrook, I'm enchanted. Any friend of Dinah's is a friend of mine.
Golly, how do you do?
Mr. Charrington is an author, too.
Oh, yes, but I'm really an amateur. I've only written one book. Your mother's written a dozen.
I know, but Mother says that your one book has sold more copies than her 28 put together.
Golly, are you the H.J. Charrington who wrote that sizzling book my mother's forbidden me to read?
I'm afraid so.
She's reading it now, but she hides it somewhere.
What's your mother doing?
Oh, she's typing away like mad. She's just finishing a new book, and she's been at it since before 6. Can you imagine?
Dinah, your mother's industry makes me blush. Tell her that she's a shining inspiration. No more gardening today. I'm going in to work on my new book. See you soon.
Why?
Bye.
Well, what do you think?
My dear, I think he's simply terrific. He's absolutely oozing with sophistication. Is he married?
No, he's quite eligible.
Does your mother like him?
My dear girl, I don't want you to get the idea that I'm trying to marry Mother off to him. She could have married millions of men if she wanted to. I just thought that if I sort of exposed them to each other a little bit, why, he might give her some intellectual companionship. After all, she must get awfully bored sometimes with just us.
Uh-huh. Gee, I think it's wonderful the way you cope with life.
Do you really?
But, Madge.
Well, Charrington.
Now, look here, Riley. I've told you repeatedly not to hang around here. I've nothing to say to you.
Now, take it easy, pal. Maybe I just want your autograph.
I dare say you do, on a big check, preferably, huh?
That's right.
I don't know you 1 red cent, Riley, and you know it.
Now, don't be too sure, Charrington. I just came from next door, and Mrs. Sanford
Then you
thinks...
better take it up with Mrs. Sanford. I've nothing more to say.
Archie, get the cookies. Well, have you grown-ups solved the problems of our post-war world?
Gosh, hasn't Mother been down to breakfast yet? She'll have a splitting headache.
I know. We're just fixing her some milk and cookies.
Good, I'll take them up to her.
No. You'll just stay up there and gab. That'll interrupt her train of thought. I know how to handle her.
All right, but when you're through, don't forget to empty the wastebaskets in the incinerator.
No dice.
Archie Carstairs, let's not enter into an argument. You will empty the wastebaskets.
Dino Barbatov. Dino Barbatov.
What did he say?
Oh, he's not allowed to swear. So he uses words that sound like it.
Like phenobarbital. Oh.
Oh, thanks, baby.
Mother, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Archie. It slipped out.
I don't mind you calling me baby so much when we're alone, but you did it yesterday in front of half a dozen of my friends. And Monday when I go back to school, I'll get the pants ripped off of me.
I'm sorry, pal. Truly I am.
And when Dinah and April call me baby, you can imagine how I feel.
Oh, my poor little henpecked man-child.
Gosh, only about 20 pages to go.
Yeah, and I'm fresh out of suspects.
You mean the butler didn't do it?
No, I had a brainstorm yesterday and killed him off on about page 280. I wish he had done it. He was a horrible butler.
Are you baffled, Mother?
And how?
Tell you what. Come on down, we'll fix you some coffee and eggs and stuff. A real, honest-to-goodness breakfast. Come on, knock off for a bit, and then you'll feel like coming back. You'll have it finished in a couple of hours.
Optimist.
You can do it, Mom. Well, I mean, gosh, you gotta finish. Well, gee, we made all sorts of plans for the celebration tonight. Like when you always finish a book. Come on down for a sec. Relax. It'll do you good.
Sold.
You know what? The butler didn't do it. She bumped him off on 280.
Don't talk shop now. Let her eat first.
Oh, gee, that looks lovely, darling, but honestly, I can't...
You eat those eggs and no nonsense out of you.
Yes, dear.
And quit smoking so much. You're terrible. And you drink your coffee.
Do you see how they bully me?
All right, Mother, we'll let you off the crusts. Now tell us the problem.
Come on, let's have it.
I thought we weren't going to talk shop. Did you have trouble about the missing keys turning up in the cold cream jar?
No, that worked out all right. Oh, you see, I threw that in as a false clue. The murderer was trying to make it look as though a woman was involved. But Bill Smith was very bright and figured that out in no time.
Mrs. Carstairs, how come you call your detective Bill Smith?
Oh, I don't know. I was always rather bored about detectives called Philo Vance or Nero Wolfe or Nick Francis or something. Bill Smith. Now, that's a nice, comfortable, ordinary name. Don't you like it?
Oh, sure. I think it's swell.
Mother says an author has to be in love with a character in order to write about him reasonably well. She's written 28 books about Bill Smith. There's a lot of pop in Bill Smith, isn't there, Mother?
Mm-hmm. Only Bill Smith doesn't wear holes in his socks the way Pop always did.
Archie wears holes in his socks.
Well, there's a lot of Pop in Archie, too.
I think Bill Smith is Mother's dream man.
Right now, if he wasn't our bread and butter, I would cheerfully kill off Mr. Bill Smith.
Why, Mother? What's a snag?
Well, kids, it's a mighty sad story. I just got too smart, that's all. I'm on the last chapter but one, and Bill Smith stands there and lays out the whole case and proves conclusively that only one person could have committed the murder.
That's what he always does.
Shut up.
So they walk in to arrest the lone suspect, and what happens? They find him dead, killed exactly the same way as all the rest.
Well, that sounds swell.
Sure, it's wonderful. But the trouble is, the case Bill Smith laid out is so darn good, there isn't a thing left for him to do but to stand there and say, I give up.
Hey, Mom, I've got an idea. Was this guy shot through the head like the others?
He sure was.
Okay, but maybe that wasn't the cause of death. Why not have Bill Smith take a specimen of saliva from the cadaver? Maybe there'll be traces of arsenic in it. Should be a cinch. Cadavers often foam at the mouth.
Oh, dear. You know, sometimes I wonder if I've raised you children properly. Maybe I shouldn't have weaned you on my trashy crime novels.
They aren't trashy. They're swell.
My public. Well, back to the juke mill.
But you didn't eat a thing.
How could she with all you girls gabbing?
Well, thanks a lot, kids. You do wonders for my morale.
Mother, do you think you'll be able to finish?
Mrs. Carstairs, what are you gonna do? About Bill Smith, I mean.
Oh, I don't know. I'll just have to go back a couple of chapters and throw in a new clue for the poor drip to be bright about. See you later.
Bye. You know, I rather like that woman.
Golly, I wish my family was intellectual. You don't realize how grisly it is listening to my father talk about hardware all day. That's all he knows. Hardware, hardware, hardware.
Give me that for Henderson.
Okay.
Here, Henderson. Here, Henderson. Get. Oh, there you are, old girl. Henderson, you're crazy. That's bacon.
Hey, listen. She must have had a pip of an idea. She's hitting on all six now.
Swell. Then I think I'll get the turkey ready for roasting. Isn't turkey sort of extravagant? Absolutely brutal, but it's for the celebration. We always have a binge when Mother finishes a book. So you know what we were discussing a little while ago?
Uh-huh. You mean about that certain party?
What certain party?
Don't be so mysterious. What's up?
Nothing, dear. It doesn't concern you.
Mother says whispering in front of other people is very rude.
You know what? Henderson didn't even touch that food.
Oh, well, Henderson's going to have kittens. That often makes them lose their appetite.
Gosh, I wish I knew whether this was a boy turtle or a girl turtle.
What difference does it make?
It makes a lot of difference. Everything around here is female. Archie do this, Archie don't do that.
Poor baby.
Baby, phenobarbital.
My dear, I've simply got to fly. I think it's a wonderful idea, and please phone me and tell me how everything works out.
All right, so long.
She gives me a severe pain.
I think it's a wonderful idea, my dear. And be sure to phone me and let me know how everything works out.
Yeah, what does she mean? How what works out?
Well, it's like this. I've decided that if Mother finishes a book today, I'm going to invite Mr. Charrington to our celebration dinner tonight. He's a very intellectual and educated man, and I think Mother'd enjoy talking to him.
Maybe she'd rather just be with us. What does she say?
She doesn't know Dopey. He's going to be a surprise. Archie's too young to understand, but I'm sure you'll agree. Joelle and I ran into him a little while ago, and he said, "How's your nice mother?"
He did? Yesterday he asked me, how's your pretty mother? Okay, let's ask him.
I think he's studying to be a wolf.
We'll make Mother wear a blue housecoat.
Swell. She looks about 18 in it and definitely wolf-bait.
And I'll do a quick paint job on her nails.
This isn't a very large turkey. I hope he don't eat much.
I hope he doesn't eat much.
You said it.
Come on, kids. We've got a million things to do. Let's get busy.
Remember, I got dibs on the drumstick.
Don't be a hog, Archie. Open the oven. You'll get what's given to you and like it. Hurry up.
Now, let me see. It's 4:30 now. This bird weighs about 10 pounds. 15 minutes to a pound, that's 150 minutes. Now, let me see. Yes, I guess that'll work out okay. If we...
Hold everything, kids. I just spoke to Mother and it's no dice. She won't be finished till tomorrow.
Oh! Be no barb at all. Okay, I guess we'll have hamburger tonight. And we'll celebrate tomorrow.
Cheer up, kids. And look, since we won't be gorging ourselves tonight, let's go down to Luke's and have a malt, huh?
Okay, that's a swell idea. Don't you think so, Archie?
Archie, dear.
Archie. Oh, no, you don't. You girls are broke and you want to borrow money from me. No dice. We'll pay you back, Archie. With interest.
Archie Carstairs, you know perfectly well that Mother won't let you charge us interest. We'll pay you back. We always do.
Okay, I'll stake it on malt. But I don't take out the garbage for 2 weeks, and I get the refunds on the Coke bottles for an extra week. That's practically the same as charging interest. That's my proposition. Take it or leave it. Isn't it horrible to think that one's own flesh and blood could be such a little stinker?
Certainly is. But it's a deal. Come on, let's get down to Luke's. Quit snooping into everybody's trash pile.
You can't tell what you'll find. Typewriters. Everybody's writing something. Say, can we ask them if they have any Coke bottles?
No, you couldn't. Don't be so mercenary.
Hello, Dinah.
Oh, good afternoon. We don't want to disturb Mr. Turner because we can hear he's busy. Would you please tell him that we'd like to have him come to a party tomorrow night, provided Mother finishes her book. And if she finishes the book, we'll let him know. And would he please let us know if that'll be okay? That's tomorrow night.
Huh? Dinner tomorrow night with us. He's to let us know.
I'll tell him just as soon as he finishes with his word.
Okay.
Thank you.
That sounded like a shot. Car backfiring. I know a shot when I hear one. That was a gat. Your gat had a gittin'.
That's from an old Marx Brothers picture.
It's still funny. I tell you, those were shots.
Probably Mr. Sanford shooting at birds.
Mr. Sanford doesn't shoot at birds. It's probably a murder. All who'd get murdered around here. Practically anybody can get murdered practically any place. You see? That's probably the murderer, leaving the scene of the crime. Okay, so it's murder. If you girls want me to buy your malt, you better make it snappy. Do you have the time?
4:41 on the nose. Why?
Well, if it was a murder, the time might come in handy. 4:41. 4:41. Come on. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
60.
Isn't it simply adorable? That's how I'd like my new formal.
You slay me.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
My good girl. Polly Walker happens to be slim and quite voluptuous, and on her it looks good. On you, it would be utterly laughable. If you girls are going to get goo in that magazine, believe me, I'm not going to pay for it. Come on, let's blow. Come on. Come on. What's he counting for?
He bet me a quarter that it's 50 steps short of going through the alley.
If you took his bet, you're crazy. Archie only bets on sure thing. Gee, what a snazzy car. 865, 866, 867.
Hey, you know who that is?
Sure, that's Polly Walker. She's sobbing her heart out. I bet I was right. I'll bet there's been a murder here. It's perfectly obvious. She's the beautiful murderess, consumed with bitter remorse.
Shut up. Is anything wrong? Can we help?
Oh, please go away. This is no place for children.
She's quite right. Run along, you two.
Oh, how goody. Oh, how goody.
How could who do what? Shoot somebody?
Would you like some Kleenex? I generally have some handy because Archie's always forgetting his handkerchief.
The cops. You see? What did I tell you?
Yes, I sent for them. Now go away, please.
Where's the body?
In the living room.
Take a look, O'Hare.
Yeah.
My name's Polly Walker. I just found her lying there.
I'm Bill Smith of the Homicide Squad.
Did you hear that? His name's Bill Smith.
Maybe it's me.
Are these her children?
Our name is Carstairs. We happen to be neighbors of Mrs. Sanford.
The dame's dead, all right. Shot through the head. Nobody else in the house.
All right, children, you better run along. We won't need you.
Did you find a murder weapon? What was the point of entry of the bullet?
Any identifying marks?
How long since rigor mortis set in? If I was you, I'd take a blood test of the victim. Might find more than a trace of alcohol. Or narcotics.
Huh?
You seem to have been reading these crime magazines.
You're entirely mistaken. Mother says they're all trash and we never look at them.
Where was she knocked off? In the living room?
Go on, beat it, you guys. Go on. Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on.
Phone the medical examiner. Have Castor check for all fingerprints. Get statements from the neighbors on both sides of this street. Tap the telephone for all incoming calls.
Okay, Bill.
All right, Miss Walker. Suppose you tell me what happened.
Well, Mrs. Sanford invited me over for tea. When I got here,
Who answered the door?
nobody. I rang several times. Then I tried the door and found it unlatched. When I went inside, I found her lying there. So, I phoned the police.
You knew Mrs. Sanford well?
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, I'd never met her. You see, I'm an actress. Mrs. Sanford was an agent and she wanted to represent me. It was really a business meeting.
Miss Walker, you said on the phone, Mrs. Sanford has been murdered.
Yes.
Since you've never met her, how could you be sure it was Mrs. Sanford? After all, it might have been the housekeeper or a companion or even a friend who was dropping in for tea. Apparently, you were quite positive it was Mrs. Sanford who had been murdered.
I assumed it was.
He's laying a trap for her. He knows his stuff.
What time did you get here, Miss Walker?
I really don't know. These little watches are awfully cute, but they never go, do they? Does the exact time really matter?
It's sometimes a matter of life or death.
Hello.
Now listen, children, I distinctly
It
told
so
you...
happens, Lieutenant, that
It so happens that I told you kids to scram. Please!
Please, there's no occasion to raise your voice.
I'd raise more than me voice to them if it was mine.
Take it easy, Dan.
Okay. You heard what the lieutenant said. Now go on, Scott. There's no place for small fry. We had a murder committed here.
We are well aware of that. In fact, we heard the shots.
And if I catch you kids around here again...
Just a minute, children. You say you heard the shot?
I said shots. Plural.
2 to be exact. Check.
Wait a minute, Bill. Let me handle this. Remember, I got 6 kids of my own. What's all this about you hearing the shots?
Exactly what would you like to know?
Well, you wouldn't by any chance remember the time you heard them shots?
It was the first thing we noted.
Elementary. We know it practically down to the split second.
That's fine. No, what time was it?
It was exactly... Oh! Somebody's been killed! Murdered! Oh!
April, darling!
scared of you, big stiff?
It's just the shock. She's a very high-strung child.
Poor little kid.
Oh!
It's all right, darling. We'll take you home. When she gets like this, the only one who can handle her is Mother.
I want my mama. I want my mama.
I'll carry
Oh,
her.
no, no!
We can manage. The exercise will do her good. Come on, Archie.
That's too bad.
Well, all you know about kids, you could carve on the head of a peanut. That was the phoniest case of hysterics I ever seen outside of a courtroom.
I thought my hysterics were an inspiration on account of I thought you handed up a lot, but I don't quite get...
My good child, don't be so dense. You were just about to spill the works to the cops.
So what?
One would think you'd never read one of Mother's books. Don't you see, Archie, if the cops know everything, then how can the private detective solve the case?
What private detective? There's no private dick on this case.
You know, that's true. And it's most unusual.
It doesn't matter. It's the principle of the thing.
Don't you see, Archie, the cops don't know the time, and we do.
I'll bet if we put it up to Mother, she'd know what to do. Now, you're not to bother Mother on account of...
Hey, wait a sec. Maybe Archie's got something. It's a terrific idea. Let's put it up to Mother. I mean, well, gosh, solving crimes is right up her alley.
Swell. She could be her own private detective. Boy, think of the publicity. I could just see the headlines. Novelist solves crime. Cops completely baffled. They didn't say they were baffled. My dear child, I'll bet you about a night they'll have arrested some poor suspect who's innocent.
They always do, Archie, in Mother's books. And with our ace in the hole, we can save him from the gallows.
And if you don't want to save people from the gallows, we do. Now, shut up. It's decided. Okay, let's go put it up to Mother. No! Don't be a dope. Not now. Wait until after dinner when she's in a good mood.
Haven't you learned yet that grown-ups don't function well on an empty stomach?
Well, kids, the hamburgers were out of this world. Now, I'd better get back and knock off those last chapters, and tomorrow we'll have the turkey.
Oh, don't dash off yet, Mother.
Have some more coffee. Here, Mother, have a cigarette. Smell something burning, Mother?
No, my dear, I smell a rodent somewhere. You're all being much too nice to me. What's up?
Why, nothing, Mother. I can't imagine what you mean.
Mother, darling, we want to ask you a hypothetical question.
Well, that's about the only kind I could answer.
Mother, if a terrific wrong were going to be done to a man, and it was in your power to prevent a ghastly miscarriage of justice, you'd want to do something about it, wouldn't you?
Say that again.
Dinah! That could only be Joella. She always sounds like a herd of elephants.
Hello, Dinah. Hi, Mrs. Carstairs. Isn't this exciting, Mrs. Carstairs? Who do you think did it?
Did what? Let me see.
We hid the paper from her. You would have to come barging in.
I don't suppose you children would happen to know anything about this.
Of course, we heard the shots.
You did? Gosh, how thrilling.
Oh, why don't I ever hear anything?
And why didn't you tell me?
Well, in the first place, you were busy, and we didn't want to disturb you.
And in the second place, we have some very important information we haven't told the cops.
Well, why not?
On account of we decided to tell you so you could solve the crime.
And prevent a terrific miscarriage of justice. Sure, Mom. And then your next book might sell like Forever Amber.
Children, you're very sweet, and I'm highly flattered, but I'm afraid you're a bit dopey. This is a real crime, and it's up to the police.
Yeah, and as usual, they've gone off half-cocked. They're looking for Mr. Sanford. They're crazy. I'll bet 2 bits cash money he never bumped her off.
Why don't you try to solve it, Mrs. Carstairs?
I have enough trouble solving fictional crimes when I make up my own clues.
You could do it easy, Mom.
I'll see who it is.
Why, good evening, Lieutenant Smith. How nice to see you.
Good evening. Is your mother home?
Yes, of course. Do come in. Sergeant.
Oh, good evening. You've recovered rapidly, haven't you?
Just make yourselves at home. I'll tell Mother.
And we want to talk to you kids, too.
Oh, golly, must we? I mean, gosh, it's all so sordid.
Okay, make it snappy.
Yes, sir.
Better not be so tough with these children. Let me handle them.
I'd handle that one with a hairbrush if I had my way. Remember, I got 6 kids of my own.
And 4 of...
4 of them are girls. Don't forget that.
Well, come on, children.
Excuse me. May I go in, too? My dear girl, don't be so moronic. You're just a bystander, and we are material witnesses. Stay out of sight, and I'll leave the door ajar so you can listen.
Mrs. Carstairs?
Yes?
Sergeant O'Hare.
How do you do?
Go ahead.
Sorry for the intrusion.
I understand. Won't you sit down?
Oh, that one is much more comfortable.
Is your name really Bill Smith?
Certainly. Why?
Oh, nothing. It just so happens that I've written 28 books about a character named Bill Smith.
If you don't mind, Mrs. Carstairs, I'd like you to answer a few questions.
By all means. My name is Marian Carstairs. I'm a widow. We've lived here for 2 years. I knew Mrs. Sanford well. I write mystery novels, and she was my literary agent. I didn't see or hear anything unusual about the Sanford house today. I saw Mr. Sanford early this morning on his way to the bus, but I haven't seen or heard of him since. I didn't hear any shot. I was up in my room typing. Is there anything else you'd like to know?
I'd call that a very complete statement.
Mother always marshals her facts very accurately.
When they review her books, that's what they always say.
Mrs. Carstairs, the lieutenant here is a great admirer of your books.
Oh, really? Which one did you like best, Lieutenant?
The latest one, Mrs. Carstairs. I thought it was excellent.
Oh, so you like the Maltese Falcon?
Yes, that's the one.
Lieutenant, that was written by Dashiell Hammett about 12 years ago. I don't think you've ever read any of my books.
I'm afraid you're right.
Not being a married man, Mrs. Carstairs, Lieutenant ain't a very convincing liar.
You know, in Mother's book, the detective always says he could wash up the crime in half the time if the cops didn't butt in.
Archie, please.
Young man, I'm afraid book murders are somewhat different from crimes in real life.
For sure, book murders is made up.
But in books, the murders always get solved.
That'll do, April. I'm sorry, Lieutenant.
That's all right. I hope this doesn't upset you, but your children are witnesses.
Oh, I'm sure they'll be delighted to testify when the time comes. In fact, I don't think you could stop them.
If I'm going to be on the stand, I want to wear a black satin dress.
Never mind the wardrobe now, dear.
Your children can help us out right now. It seems they heard the shot.
Shots. Plural.
2.
Check.
That's correct. We found one bullet in the paneling and another bullet of a different caliber, which...
Plug Mrs. Sanford.
The kids could help us out a lot if they'd fix the time of those shots.
Well, children, do you have any idea of what the time was?
Why, yes, Mother. You see, I just looked at the clock on the stove to see if it was time to put on the turkey. You see, the turkey weighed about 10 pounds, and I figured 15 minutes to a pound. That would be about 150 minutes. Now, let me see. 60 into 150. That would be...
All right, never mind the arithmetic. What time did you hear those shots?
Mother! He scares me!
Oh, don't start that routine again. What time was it?
Stop bullying her.
You leave my sister alone, see?
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, especially with 6 children of your own. They're probably all nervous wrecks.
Better wait for me in the car, Dan.
Okay, Bill. I never saw anybody like this in my life.
I'm sorry he upset her. I can see she's a delicate child.
She is not a delicate child, but this is enough to upset anyone. Now, come on, pull yourself together, darling, and answer the detective.
Look here, little girl. Murder's a terrible crime. A man or a woman that takes another man or a woman's life must be punished. You understand that, don't you?
Yes, sir.
So you see how it's vitally important for us to know exactly when you heard the shots. Now, what time was it?
It was exactly 4:15, wasn't it?
You sure?
Oh, yes, sir. Absolutely sure. 4:15 on the nose.
What makes you so certain?
Well, as I started to tell you before that nasty man began yelling at me, we were going to have a turkey tonight. and the turkey weighed about 10 pounds. I figured 15 minutes to a pound. That would be 150 minutes. Now, let me see. 60 into 150, that would be...
Forget the turkey. Are you sure it was 4:15?
Do you think for a moment my children would try to deceive the police, Lieutenant?
Okay, it was 4:15. Well, that knocks our first theory into a cocked hat.
How come? Oh, I'm interested professionally. You see, I always have to explode my first theories in my books.
This lets out Wally Sanford. He was seen getting off the bus near his home at 4:31.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I've always liked Mr. Sanford. It's nice to think he couldn't have done it.
Well, thanks for the information. Sorry, Mrs. Carstairs, I had to trouble you. Are you absolutely sure it was 4:15?
Of course.
Lieutenant, I realize how very annoying it must be for you to have all your preconceived theories of the crime collapse. But I resent your obvious skepticism and the way you're trying to intimidate my children.
I'm sorry, Miss Carstairs. I dislike involving your children, but unfortunately it's my duty. Good night.
Good night.
Wasn't he rude?
I'm still all goosebumpy. I get a kick out of the one who says he has 6 kids. He slays me.
Mother, going back to that hypothetical question, would you help
No,
us to...
I wouldn't. The less I know about this crime, the happier I'll be.
Mother, when I have to testify, would you buy me a black satin?
You'll take to stand your old plaid skirt and sweater and like it. I wonder whatever gave me the idea I like children.
Wasn't that exciting?
Well, where do we go from here? If Mother won't solve it, now what?
It's very simple. We'll just have to solve it for her.
Sure, why not? We know all about crime.
I think that's a simply terrific idea. May I help?
No, there are too many dames involved now.
Don't be so rude, Archie. We'll let you help if we can, but of course we've had more experience than you with these things.
First thing we've got to do is get to the scene of the crime and find some clue the cops overlooked. Like in Mother's books. Like in the bloody mask. And we should also leave a false clue to snarl up the cops. Like in the Green-Eyed Widow.
In Streamline for Murder, Mother had a pip of an idea for getting into the place without the cops seeing you.
I think it's simply fascinating that this detective's name is Bill Smith. He's so good-looking, too. Did he and your mother click?
Never mind that now. We're trying to figure out how to get to the scene of the crime.
I think he's very good-looking. And I wouldn't be discouraged even if they didn't hit it off at first. I mean, well, after all, do Irene Dunn and Cary Grant ever go for each other right off the bat?
Yes, dear, but not now.
But at the fade-out, oh, boy, they're wading through rivers of blood to get to each other.
Shut up.
Good night.
Good night,
Good night,
Mother.
Mother.
Good night, Archie, dear.
Good night. Good night, Abel. Good night, honey. Gee, you girls are swell. Please, God, help us to solve this mystery.
Now be quiet. I feel like a heel deceiving Archie like this, but we gotta find some clues.
Look, we've got to sneak out without being heard. Archie's physically incapable of sneaking anywhere. He'd clatter us.
Shh. Now be quiet. Why can't you be careful?
Somebody's gonna break their neck on that blasted turtle of Archie's.
Come on.
What was that?
Sounds like Archie.
But it couldn't be. He's in bed.
He is like fun.
Archie Carstairs. what are you doing here?
I knew you'd try and sneak out on me.
How?
What do you think I hugged you both goodnight for? I want to feel if you had any clothes on underneath.
And I felt sorry for him. Come on, let's go home.
But we can't go through the alley or they'll catch us. Well, let's make a detour through the empty lot. Come on. Oh. Keep that light on, will you, dopey? This place is full of holes. I don't want to break my neck. It won't light. The battery must be down. Oh, my gosh. What lot of good you are as a detective. Dead as a doornail.
Don't you have any extra batteries, Archie?
I have lots at the clubhouse.
Well, your old cellar's not so far off. Let's go there.
Okay, let's.
Come on. We've never been here.
Of course not. This is a boys' club. Hurry up, light that match.
You sure you've got a battery?
Yes. See? It works. Oh! Gee whiz, it's Mr. Sanford.
Put that light out and keep quiet, all of you.
That's okay. Don't worry. No one can see this light from outside.
Are you sure?
Sure, I'm sure. This is my clubhouse. We've had meetings here when the vacant lot was crawling with parents looking for us. But they never did find us.
Be quiet. The cops are looking for me.
As if we didn't know.
The cops think that you did it, Mr. Sanford. But frankly, we're all pretty sure you didn't.
That's darn white of you.
Mother always tells us not to ask personal questions, Mr. Sanford, but did you?
You're a nervy bunch of kids, I'll say that for you.
You haven't answered my question, did you?
Of course I didn't. I swear I didn't.
Okay, then relax.
Don't worry anymore. We were convinced you didn't. We've given the cops a pip of an alibi for you.
Why on earth should you have done that?
We have our reasons.
Somebody conveniently tossed this from a passing car. Not a nice feeling when one's being hunted.
Go on, Mr. Sanford. Tell us exactly what happened.
So that you can blab to the cops.
We're working quite independently of the cops. I just told you we've given you a perfect alibi.
But we simply can't help you any further unless you come clean.
All right. As I was coming up my driveway this afternoon, I heard 2 muffled shots. I thought it was a car backfiring. Then I let myself into the house and found my wife lying there. The house was empty. I realized that I was on the spot.
Why?
All the cops need is a good suspect and a good motive. I had plenty of motives.
Polly Walker?
Yes, my wife was refusing to give me a divorce so that I could marry Miss Walker. And that fact was pretty well known.
So you took it on the lam?
Yes, I figured that as long as I was the hunted suspect, the cops would lay off Polly. And if I could hide out long enough, the murderer might tip his hand. But in the meantime, Polly would be safe.
Mr. Sanford, do you have any idea who could have done it?
Well, naturally, he thinks she did it.
Shut up.
There are always half a dozen people with motives to kill a blackmailer.
Blackmailer?
Yes, I kept out of Flora's affairs as much as I could, but I realized that she was dabbling in it recently.
How do you know?
She's got a long, thin manila envelope hidden somewhere in the house.
She has? Where?
I haven't an idea. She used to keep it locked in her files, but something scared her recently, and she's hidden it someplace else. Get your hands on that envelope, and you'll find out who murdered her.
All right, Mr. Sanford, we'll find it. We'll have to throw the cops off somehow and sneak in. Gosh, wouldn't it be terrific?
Wait a sec. Look, Mr. Sanford, we'll find this envelope, and we'll tell you all we know about everything. But you've got to promise to stay put here until we have found it.
And if the cops should find this hideout... Which they won't. But if they should, you're not to say a word about this envelope. That's our ace in the hole.
Sold?
Sold.
Okay. Now, here's what's happened to date. When we came past the house, we saw Miss Walker's car.
Well, we're getting nowhere fast, you know that, don't you? All the clues we got point right to Sanford. We can't turn up no new clues, and we can't find Sanford. And if them kids is telling the truth, Sanford couldn't have done it anyway.
Have you questioned Charrington again?
I sure have, Bill, and he's got an airtight alibi. I got depositions right here from his housekeeper and 3 neighbors. All heard him banging away this typewriter at the exact time she was bumped off.
That time is what's throwing us off. Now, if those kids could have been mistaken...
Mistaken my foot. Them kids is lying.
They seem very straightforward to me.
Bill, you talk to them all together. And kids in a bunch is tough to handle. Get them alone. Divide and conquer. That's my motto. Remember, I got 6 of my own.
I know. Well, if you want to question him, go ahead. But I don't think you'll get to first base.
No? I'll show you. Hi, kid.
Something on your mind?
Yes, son, I have got something on my mind. I'm puzzled about that time. You sure it was 4:15 when you heard the shots?
Sure, I'm sure. April was just putting on a turkey. It weighed about 10 pounds.
All right, skip it. That's a nice cat you got.
Yeah, Henderson's a good cat.
Oh, yeah, beautiful cat. Persian?
Spanish.
Cats don't come from Spain.
This one did. She was born in Madrid.
How do you know?
Gee whiz, why wouldn't I know? I was born there, too. She's a year older than I am.
You were born in Madrid, Spain?
Why not? Lots of people are born there. I was born when the bombs were bursting all over the city. In a cellar.
Your mother don't look very Spanish to me.
I think my mother's the most beautiful woman in the world, and so do all of us. And you're not
Now,
gonna...
wait a minute. All I was trying
quit
to...
making cracks about my mother, see?
Madrid.
Don't look now, but we're being followed.
I know, it's Sergeant O'Hare. I can hear his shoes squeak.
I got your message, and I came as soon as I could. What's happened? Shh,
Hi, good afternoon, little girl.
Hello, Sergeant O'Hare.
Well. How would you like to have a double chocolate malt with whipped cream, or maybe a banana split with nuts?
Well, that sounds wonderful, but I'm afraid it's too expensive.
Don't give it a thought. It's all on me.
Oh, Sergeant O'Hare, aren't you a darling? Do you have any chop suey?
Sure, it's our Sunday special. 85 cents a throw with noodles.
Okay, 3 orders, please.
Trey.
Oh, they're not all for me. Dinah, Joella, Sergeant O'Hare's treating us to chop suey. Isn't that precious of him? Oh, thank you. Could you take it to them in the booth? I'm going to stay here and keep this lovely man company.
You bet.
So, you like chop suey, do you?
Oh, yes, I simply adore it. You see, in a way, I'm almost practically half Chinese. It's in the blood.
What?
Of course, I'm not really Chinese, but I was born in China.
Oh, you don't say. And your kid brother was born in Spain.
Oh, have you been talking to him?
Yeah, and I suppose your sister was born in...
Peru. Dinah, tell the gentleman where you were born. Lima, Peru. Lima, that's the capital of Peru. She was born in a taxi cab.
I'll bet she was.
Oh, Sergeant, this is so sweet of you.
Yes, that's what they are. All of them. Natural-born congenial liars.
You mean congenital?
I mean that the little brats don't even know the meaning of the word truth. Spain, China, Peru.
Divide and conquer, huh?
You know, it almost cost me $4. They all had double chocolate malts besides. But it was worth it to prove my point.
Too bad. When nice youngsters like that deliberately tell lies, there must be something radically wrong. I'm going over and talk to Miss Carstairs.
Let me know where she was born, if you find out.
Well, go ahead, Lieutenant. We've discussed the weather in all its aspects. Sugar?
One, please.
You said you wanted to discuss my children. You have the floor.
Last night, Mrs. Carstairs, I went to a rental library and got a couple of your books.
Authors don't like people to rent books. They like people to buy them. It increases their royalties.
Yes. Well, anyway, I read them both. You have a vivid imagination.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant. But I understood you wanted to discuss my children, not my books.
Children are enormously influenced by books.
Are you suggesting that mine have been a demoralizing influence?
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that.
You would if you had the courage. Well, all right, go on. What's wrong with my books?
Well, Mrs. Carstairs, you'll have to admit, you don't present the police in a very favorable light.
Which wounds your professional susceptibilities.
Which encourages disrespect to the law in immature minds.
Meaning my children's, huh?
Are you aware, Mrs. Carstairs, that the figures for juvenile delinquency are increasing alarmingly?
Are we still discussing my children?
Your children naturally inherit from you a highly developed imagination.
Yes, I think they're all pretty bright.
The more intelligent the child, the more susceptible to influence and environment, and the greater the responsibility of the parent.
How many children have you raised, Lieutenant?
Unfortunately, I can only speak theoretically.
Well, I can speak from experience. I've got 3, and I've raised them as well as I know how, and I think I've done a pretty good job, too. They're honest, they're polite, they're helpful, they're fun to be with, and they're truthful. You want to say something?
Yes, they're not truthful. In fact, they think nothing of twisting the truth.
Are you calling my children liars?
Where were you born, Mrs. Carstairs?
In Brooklyn. Not that that's any of your business.
I find it a little hard to believe that Archie was born in Madrid, April in China, and Don in Peru.
I find that a little hard to believe myself.
You see, it comes natural to them to tell lies. They find in your books
They told you the truth. That's where they were born. Are you calling me a liar?
No, of course not. Now I'm afraid I've put my foot in it. I'm sorry.
Lieutenant, do you know anything about children except what you've read in books?
No, I wish I did.
Well, they're quite a job at times when you have to be mother and father.
I can well imagine.
You seem to think I fail somewhere. How?
Maybe I've been reading too many books. I'm a little puzzled at the moment.
Well, when you're married to a newspaper man like I was, you're puzzled all the time. You never know where you're going to be or what's going to happen next or where your children are going to be born or anything. Yes, when you're married to a newspaper man like Jerry was, you live in a couple of suitcases and in a constant fever of excitement. When you hear the telephone ring, you're never sure whether it's to be ready to catch the night plane for London or whether he's lost his shirt in a poker game and wants you to go out and hock the portable typewriter. You live on hope and excitement and credit and Benzedrine. You have your babies in cellars and on gunboats and in taxicabs on the streets of Lima. You gripe and you tell them it's a dog's life and you swear you're not going to stand it for another moment.
I can well understand. It must have been awful for you.
You don't understand a thing. It was all wonderful. I wouldn't trade one moment of it for all the tea in China.
Yes, I have the reports from the Fingerprint Bureau here. No. Well, keep looking. Report to me here. Okay. What happened to you?
Well, I'm out in the yard here minding my own business when I seen one of them kids up in a tree. So he goes over and I says, "Little girl, what are you doing up in a tree?" And without a word of warning, she drops a wildcat right on my face. And wham, she's gone with the wind.
That was April, I take it.
It was April, and I took it.
I'm going over and talk to those kids again. See you later.
Now listen, Archie, you go easy on this turkey tonight. We've got to save enough to sneak some to Mr. Sanford later. Poor man must be starving. April, did you send an extra place for Mr. Charrington?
Yes, of course. Gosh, I hope he comes. He still hasn't phoned. Me, I just as soon he didn't come. That's not a very large turkey.
Always thinking of your stomach. I wish you'd use your brains once in a while.
Can't we get it through your ivory dome that Mr. Charrington is absolutely necessary tonight?
After dinner, he's got to take Mother to the movie so the coast will be clear. And then we can sneak over to the Sanford house.
Yeah, but...
And besides, Mr. Charrington's a very nice man, so shut up.
That's your opinion.
Why, Lieutenant, how perfectly lovely. Do come in.
Good evening, children.
Good evening.
Your cat won't have 9 lives if you keep dropping it from trees.
Honestly, Lieutenant, have you ever tried to climb a tree with a cat without dropping the cat?
All right, let's forget the whole thing.
Gosh, I figured you'd come to bawl me out.
Is your mother busy?
Right now she's upstairs primping.
Would you like to see her?
No. I just wondered what she was doing.
You don't mind if we go on working, do you?
No, go ahead.
Count, we're fixing a turkey tonight for the celebration.
Oh, I see. Smells good.
Have a rest. Hello? Oh, hello, Mr. Charrington. We were just wondering if... Oh, golly, but you've got to come. We're absolutely relying. Oh, that's awful. I know Mother will be... Yes, I understand. Okay, goodbye.
No dice?
No dice. He says he's got a date or something, and he's awfully sorry.
And I spent a half an hour making rosebuds out of radishes.
Gosh, what are we gonna do?
Nothing. That makes one less to eat the turkey.
I told Mother we'd have a surprise guest, and she's upstairs primping now.
I'm thinking of after dinner.
We can manage very well without Charrington. Why don't we?
Don't bother me, baby. I'm trying to...
Quit calling me baby! Vino Barba.
You know, I once had a sister that called me baby.
And did it gripe you, too?
Yeah. Come in, I'll tell you how I cured her. Okay, Butch, next time you try it.
Okay, pal. Go ahead. Just call me baby. I dare you.
Don't bother me now. What are we going to do about Mr. Charrington?
I'll be very glad to help if there's anything I can do.
Well, that's very nice of you, but I...
Hey, wait a sec. That's a swell idea. Why not? Let him pinch hit for Charrington.
Say, that's not a bad idea.
Would you?
Well, suppose you explain what it's all about.
Well, I'll tell you. You see, every time Mother finishes a book, we have a celebration like this.
Uh-huh.
And I've been thinking that Mother must get awfully bored with just us. So I was hoping that maybe Mr. Charrington might have dinner with us. But he just let us down.
Well, is there anything I can do?
Yes, do you know how to mash potatoes?
Oh, sure.
Come on. Hang on to this for a sec like an angel, would you?
Sure. You know, I haven't done this since I used to help my mother when I was a kid.
Honestly?
Mm-hmm.
You seem frightfully domesticated. I always think there's nothing cozier than puttering around in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry I interrupted you. You were talking about your mother.
Oh, yes. I think she needs intellectual male companionship. She has absolutely no life of her own. And honestly, if I thought that you were available, I would have asked you to dinner first instead of Mr. Charrington. All Mother knows is that she's having a surprise guest. And I'll bet she'll be tickle-pink when she finds out it's you. Please say you'll stay. On account of that, it'll be perfect for everybody.
Are you sure your mother want to have me for dinner?
Of course, why not?
Well, we sort of discussed children today, and
I know. She says you don't know a thing about them, but she thinks you're very cute.
Okay, Dinah. So.
Oh, thanks. You did that beautifully. Do you like the movies?
Of course. Why?
Well, after dinner, would you like to go to a movie?
Well, you like movies too, huh?
Oh, sure, but we don't want to go. Tomorrow's a school day, and we have to be in bed early.
Oh.
We think it would be super if just for once Mother went to the show with a man, without a lot of kids tagging along. She simply adores the movie, so would you ask her?
It'll be a pleasure, Dinah.
Hey, excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Hey, what are you kids plotting now?
We've just decided that you're all right. And if it's okay with you, we're going to call you Bill.
It's okay with me, gang.
Did he ask her yet?
No, they're just chewing the rag about books.
I wish he'd hurry up. Well, I think dinner went off beautifully. Mother likes him, and he blushed like a schoolboy every time she smiled at him.
Never mind that now. The sooner we serve him the coffee, the sooner he'll take her to the movies.
I think he's cute. I think he's...
Right now, he's just a means to an end. Open the door.
Mind a pipe?
No, go right ahead. I love them. You. Darling, it's very rude to stand right in front of people.
Yes, Mother.
Sugar?
One, please.
Well, when do they shove off?
I think he's double-crossed us. He's settling down for the evening. Archie, you put that down.
It's not for me. I'm going to sneak it to Mr. Sanford.
We'll make it snappy. We'll need you presently to lure the cops away from next door.
I like to lure cops.
Well, then get going. And while he's gone, let you and I sneak over and see if those cops are still on duty.
Okay.
We'll never get in with that cop there. Let's go through the alley.
Hey, what's cooking?
Go away. What do you want to scare people for? Go and feed your prisoner.
Well, what's up anyway? Beat it. Scram. What are you doing?
Archie, please do what you're told.
Go set fire to a house or something. Okay, okay.
What are you kids doing here?
Good evening,
Good evening,
Sergeant.
Sergeant.
I suppose you fed the kitty.
We were just going to.
Mr. Sanford. Mr. Sanford.
Who's that?
Mr. Sanford. Gee whiz, where have you been?
I haven't been far.
Gee whiz, you're crazy to even step outside. They're still looking for you.
Well, I took a chance in the darkness. Swiped this paper from somebody's lawn. I'm going crazy down here. Not knowing what's going on, I feel like a rat in a trap.
Relax. I used to breed rats, and I kept them in traps. They got along fine. Here's some food for you.
Oh, thanks, Sergeant.
Well, I gotta go. And please, Mr. Sanford, stay put, will you?
All right. Believe me, kid, I have no desire to sit in the hot seat.
He's telling him the story of his life, blow by blow. Oh, my gosh, now they'll never go. If only we could create some diversion to get rid of those cops. Hey, look! It's that vacant house.
Oh, boy, that's quite a blaze.
Oh, my gosh, Archie! You don't think he did it? When he was getting in our hair, I said, go set fire to a house. Oh, April, they'll send him to jail for life. They had to catch him first.
You like to watch fires?
Sure. I used to cover them when I worked in a newspaper. Let's go take a quick look.
Okay. I got a kick out of them, too.
They must have gone to the fire. Hurry. Now's our chance. They're both locked. Thank heaven for that fire. Even if Archie does go to jail. It's unlocked. We're getting a break. know. Don't even breathe.
It is. Drop this lamp. Hi.
My gosh, it's Archie. Put that light out. For heaven's sakes, what are you doing here?
That was the idea, wasn't it? The coast is clear. They've all gone to the fire.
Archie, a little dope. Why'd you do it?
You must be crazy. Huh? Who? Me? Why? What's the matter?
Shh. You didn't have to take me literally when I told you to set fire to a house.
You think I did it? You're nuts. I don't want to go to jail for arsenic.
Arson.
Gee, do you really think I did it? That's the nicest thing you've ever said about me. As a matter of fact, I
Let's
will...
not stay here chattering in the hall. Follow me.
Why don't we go down to her den and snoop through her papers?
My dear girl, the cops aren't as dumb as all that. They searched her files.
Gonna chip the enamel off your teeth.
Shut up. I'm thinking.
This is no time to think. Let's do something. What are you doing? I'm leaving the false clue, naturally, like they always do in Mother's books. No fingerprints, either. X marks the spot. Boy, I bet it'll take them a week to figure that one out. Let's find this gimmick and blow, huh? Okay, but where?
Mrs. Sanford was a woman. Where do women hide things?
In their lingerie drawer.
Look, April. Bill's no dope. They've obviously been through every bureau.
A lot of dust, but no gimmick. Mother often hides things she doesn't want us to see underneath the guest towels in the linen closet.
Now you're using your head. That must be the linen closet. Put your light on. This must be it. Come on, let's get out of here.
No problem. Hurry up, Archie! Archie! Hurry up! Oh. Hey! You dropped it! She was up to her neck in blackmail.
Yeah, but who done it?
You poor, dear, dense, slow-witted child. Every victim of a blackmailer has a perfect motive for knocking her off.
I wonder who this Frank Riley is. This is the third letter from him.
Hey, listen. Memorandum of agreement between Frank Riley and H.J. Charrington. For and in consideration of the services rendered by Frank Riley, hereinafter to be referred to as the collaborator.
Oh, that's just an old contract. Skip it.
I know, but this Frank Riley seems to have...
Hello, Mother. Is the fire out?
Almost. Why aren't you all asleep?
We were just dozing off when we heard you come in.
All right, darling. Off to bed with you.
Good night, Mother. Good night, Bill.
Good night, April.
Hey, Lieutenant, a guy's been bumped off next door. I just found him in the living room, shot through the head and dead as a mackerel.
Under your nose, Murphy?
Well, no. Well, not exactly, Chief. When the fire started, me and Callahan just took a quick gander, and then
All right, go back to the fire and take another gander and see if you can find out who started it.
Yes, sir.
You know, I got a strong hunch that fire wasn't exactly a coincidence. See you later.
Frank Riley. There were all those letters and all the stuff we got.
And I'll bet the same person who killed Mrs. Sanford knocked him off.
It's okay. Mother's still asleep. I don't see anything about blackmail.
Certainly not. We've got that envelope, and that's the gimmick. Only we can solve this crime.
Yes, but what are we going to do? We can't run down all these leads.
Gosh, I should say not. Blackmail's dangerous. I'm not going to get bumped off.
Me neither. Pass the toast.
This is no time for homework. We're trying to help Mother solve a murder.
If you'll stop yapping and read what I'm writing, you'll see that's what I'm trying to do. I'm writing an anonymous letter.
Lieutenant William Smith, Homicide Bureau. For your information, Flora Sanford was a blackmailer. And the following parties appear to have been in her clutches.
See? Then I thought I'd list all the names in the letters.
That's great. And let the cops do the dirty work. Let's go upstairs and type it.
My dear child, don't be so naive. Bill Smith's a plenty smart cookie, and he can trace it to Mother's typewriter easily. We'll stop in at Luke's and type it there.
All right. And let's not give all our information in one letter. Let's feed it to the cops in dribs and drabs. Know what I mean? Say a new letter every hour on the hour. Sold.
Well, see you in school.
You wait for us.
Gee whiz, I got Mr. Sanford to think of. I can't leave the poor guy without food indefinitely.
Gosh, I'd forgotten all about him.
Okay, Archie, we'll see you in school.
Anything new?
Yeah. Take a look at these, Sherlock. That one came about 10 o'clock, and this one about noon.
Probably crank letters. You might check these people, though.
They ain't crank letters, and I already checked them. I sent a couple of men over to interview all those people. They was being blackmailed, just like it says in the letters. But they all had alibis.
Looks like it's up to us to find the source of these letters.
Yeah, that's all.
Yes?
Lieutenant, there's an old lady wants to speak to you on the telephone about the Sanford case.
Who is it?
She won't give her name, just says she's a well-wisher.
Have the call traced, and then put her on.
Okay.
Homicide, Lieutenant Smith.
Are you the officer in charge of this dreadful, dreadful murder?
Ask him if he got the letter.
I'm sorry, madam. I can't hear you.
Oh, it's clicking. I think they're trying to trace the call.
Hang up.
Yeah, come on, let's blow. Hi.
What you doing?
Looking for empty Coke bottles. Who kicks in 2 cents a piece for 'em?
Who does, huh?
Hey, look. I bet I could fix this if all the pieces are here.
You could you? Wait a minute. Here's another hunk.
Thanks. All the pieces are here. Oh, boy. I hope it's not a Sinatra record. I hate to waste all my time on a groaner.
Tell me, your sister's at home?
They generally stop in at Luke's and do their homework over a chocolate malt. Well, so long.
Wait a minute. Does Luke ever let him use his typewriter?
Believe me, he's a lot nicer about it than Mom. She makes an awful stink when we try and use hers. I'll be seeing you.
I bet you will, kid.
What are you brooding about, Mother?
Oh, I have a rendezvous upstairs with Bill Smith.
Oh, gosh, that's swell. When's he coming? Did he phone? Oh, Mother, I think it's wonderful.
I was referring to my Bill Smith, who's already in plenty of hot water at the end of chapter 1 in the new book.
Shall I get it?
No, you haven't finished your dessert. I'll go.
I bet it is Bill Smith.
See how prettily she blushed?
Oh, Mr. Charrington.
Good evening, Mrs. Carstairs. I'm sorry to intrude like this, but...
Well, won't you come in? We're just finishing dinner. You could have coffee and dessert with us.
Oh, it's very kind of you. I'm afraid I haven't got time.
Was anything wrong?
Oh, not a thing, no. I merely called to inquire whether you've been bothered, as I've been, by this constant questioning by the police.
Well, they have been here several times questioning the children and me.
Oh, well, at least it's a relief to know that I've not been singled out for all this questioning.
The children heard the shots. They may later be called as witnesses if and when the police ever get around to arresting the murderer. I think it's awfully inconsiderate of people to commit murders right next door, don't you?
Yes, indeed, yes. Well, good night, Mrs. Carstairs. I guess I'll just wander back and try and work on my book.
Good night, Mr. Charrington.
Good night.
Well, if you kids will excuse me, I better get upstairs to my Bill Smith.
Just a sec, Mother. Before you go, will you answer one question truthfully?
Well, make it snappy.
With whom would you rather have a rendezvous? Your Bill Smith or our Bill Smith?
I refuse to answer on the grounds that it might tend to incriminate me.
Hey, take it easy on that. I haven't fed Master Sanford yet.
Hello, Bill. We were just talking about you. Good evening, Sergeant.
Evening.
Marian, I want to talk to you. It's of vital importance.
Well, come in.
Hello, Bill.
Hello?
Remember what I said. Dishes, homework, and bed. Go on.
They better stay here. I want to see them, too. Do you know anything about these letters?
Why, no, I never saw them before.
Well, they were typed by your daughters at Luke's and mailed to me today anonymously.
And don't sound off with none of them phony hysterics, you.
Now, listen, children. As a result of what you've done, you're in very grave danger. I'm going to have men posted all around this house to guard you.
Gosh.
I want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Understand? Where did you get the information on which these letters are based?
We found it in an envelope in Mrs. Sanford's linen closet.
You were there last night, and you made that lipstick cross on the carpet.
That was me.
Were you anxious to be murdered, too?
Gosh, no, but we had to leave some false clues on account of...
Well, on account of what?
On account of we wanted Mother to get all the credit for solving the crime.
And in Mother's books, the private detective always leaves a false clue to stall off the police.
You and your books. See? Where is that envelope now?
We've got it. It's perfectly safe.
Children, I don't know what this is all about, but I want you to get that envelope and bring it to Bill immediately.
Yes, Mother.
And while she's getting it, if there are any other facts you've concealed, you'd better tell them to me now.
Would you call a man a fact?
What?
On account of we've got Mr. Sanford concealed.
Sanford?
Uh-huh. He's in the cellar of our old clubhouse. We've had him there since Saturday night.
Oh, there's a cellar there, huh?
Were you telling the truth about the time you heard those shots?
No, sir. It wasn't 4:15 like we said. It was 4:41.
You see, we wanted to give Mr. Sanford a good alibi.
Do you realize that Sanford could be the murderer?
Uh-uh.
Why not?
He's had lots of opportunities of murdering all of us, and he's never made a move.
Hurry up, Donna. Get that envelope.
Okay.
Dan, check on Sanford and bring him in.
Yeah, Bill.
Now, look here.
Darling, are you all right? What happened? A man.
He grabbed me. The envelope, he got it.
Come on, sit up here in the chair.
Good evening, Charrington. Take him in, boys. How you like that, Harry? Tripping over a turtle. You wanted to get back this contract with Riley.
Yes, and I think you'll agree with me, Lieutenant. It was rather important. You see, I may as well confess this now. My best-selling novel was ghostwritten by this Riley person. I paid him what he asked, $500, as you'll see in the contract.
Only 500? Why, your book must have sold 250,000 copies.
Nearly 500,000, Mrs. Carstairs. Even I never dreamt it would be so popular. When the money started to roll in and though Riley wasn't entitled to another cent, he became extremely unpleasant.
Is that why you killed him?
Oh, come, Lieutenant. You'd have to prove that, wouldn't you? Besides, isn't that what you people call a leading question?
Were you aware that Mrs. Sanford had a copy of this contract?
Oh, yes, indeed. The late Mrs. Sanford knew a lot about human nature. She realized that my, well, shall we say, my literary reputation was rather precious to me. She was trying to help Riley shake me down for more money.
Is that why you killed her?
Oh, really now, Lieutenant. Even you must be aware that a man cannot be in two places at once. Fortunately, I have witnesses to testify. I was working in my study when Mrs. Sanford was so, regrettably killed. I believe you people call that an alibi, don't you?
I'm afraid Mr. Charrington's got him there.
It's just like in Mother's books. Unless you can break down that alibi, Bill's sunk.
Of course, I don't blame you, Lieutenant, for taking all reasonable precautions. I did make a somewhat unconventional entrance into this house, and I imagine you could hold me for attempted burglary. But I did explain why it was vital for me to have that paper. And believe me, Mrs. Carstairs, I'm terribly sorry if I frightened Dinah. You know how fond I am of your daughter. Now, of course, I'm only a layman, but don't you agree that this whole matter needn't go any further if Mrs. Carstairs would be gracious enough not to prefer charges?
That's up to you, Bill. Heaven knows I don't want any more unpleasantness.
I'll get it.
Oh, Bill, here's Sanford. I found him down the cellar just like the kid said. He put up a little fight, but he soon quit.
That's fine. In there.
All right, sit down.
Dan, pick up Polly Walker and bring her in.
Do you have to drag her into this? She knows absolutely nothing.
Maybe she knows more than we think. Anyway, we're going to find out. Okay, Dan, make it snappy.
Okay.
Wait a minute. You don't need Miss Walker. I'm your man. I did it.
Are you prepared to give a full confession in writing, Sanford?
Yes, I'll sign a confession. If you'll guarantee not to molest Miss Walker or involve her in any way.
If Miss Walker knew nothing about it, she won't be bothered.
All right.
Under the circumstances, Lieutenant, how about, of course, I'll be available for any further questioning you may want.
Archie.
Yes, Mother?
I've told you 100 times not to fiddle with my typewriter. I want you to...
Gee whiz, I'm not touching the typewriter.
Then what's that sound?
It's a phonograph record.
A phonograph record?
Yeah, sure. I found it in the alley.
Archie, bring that record down at once.
Yes, sir.
Where did you find this record?
In the alley. In Mr. Charrington's trash barrel. It was all busted. No one wanted it. He knew about it. He helped me piece it together. He said it was okay that I could have it.
You mind if I play this?
Go right ahead.
Attaboy, Butch. Well, Charrington, it was a nice alibi while it lasted. Take him down and book him.
I don't think we need to waste any time on that phony confession you were going to sign, Mr. Sanford.
Well, frankly,
You thought he might have something on Miss Walker, and you were hoping to help her, right?
Yes, sir. I love her very much.
Apparently, she loves you very much. It might interest you to know that Miss Walker was almost ready to sign a confession because she thought we might have something on you.
Brother, I hope I never fall in love.
Well, when Riley couldn't get any more money from Charrington, he went to Mrs. Sanford, and as Charrington says, they tried to shake him down together.
You know, Bill, I once had a situation not unlike that in a book where I... I'm sorry. Go on, Bill.
He knew or suspected that you kids had those papers, and if necessary, he would have murdered all of you to get them.
Gosh, how could we know? In our mother's books...
It's getting awfully late. I think you children better go to bed now.
Oh, Mother, it's really not so terrible.
Oh, no.
We don't
Gosh, we want to hear more.
Well, maybe just...
You heard what your mother said. Off to bed with you.
But, Bill, honestly...
Don't argue. Do what you're told.
Gosh.
And that goes for you, too.
Yes, sir.
Go on, April.
Okay.
Good night, Mother.
Good night, Dinah.
Good night, Mother.
Good night, April.
Good night, Bill.
Good night, Dinah.
Good night, Bill.
Good night, April.
Good night, Bill.
Good night, son.
Come on, girls. You heard what the man said.
Don't forget to turn out the lights, Mother.
Okay.
And don't forget to put out Henderson.
You know, if anyone else had tried to boss me around the way he did, I'd have been furious. But somehow, from Bill, I didn't mind a bit.
He's swell.
And now when Sergeant O'Hare starts boasting, wouldn't it be cute if Bill could say, I got 3 kids of my own. One of them's a boy.